Hey, profs. Welcome on in. My name's Rob Lightfoot, proud two-time alum of Rick Edelman College of Communication, class of 2000-2001. This is Beyond the Brown and Gold.
I'm Jessica Kennedy. I'm the co-host here, also a two-time proud Rowan alum, class of 2008 from the Rick Edelman College of Communication and Creative Arts, and 2015 from the College of Education. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Rowan Radio 89.7 WGLS FM presents Beyond the Brown and Gold, a show that highlights the lives and memories of Glassboro State and Rowan University alumni. Now, here are your hosts, Rob Lightfoot and Jessica Kennedy.
Jess, we had quite the performer that we met today.
We sure did.
We had Stephen Calakos from the class of '08.
Same year as me.
Yeah. So you seem to know each other almost, like crossing in the halls.
We weren't like friendly in college or anything,
Yeah.
but I feel like we've crossed paths. Like, I feel like our friends might have been friends. Like, we've crossed paths, but they never actually were the same path. You know what I mean?
Do you want to talk about those kind of parties or no? We're not doing that on this.
What, parties?
Yeah.
I never went to a party.
Okay,
I don't know
yeah, because
what
your
you're
parents
talking
are
about.
listening, right?
No.
Anyway, so Stephen actually started out in education, wanted to be an ed major and was going down that path because that's what his family trajectory was.
Yep.
With the whole history that he had with his family.
Yeah, he has a legacy family. Lots of Vineland educators, lots of family in Vineland, and then lots of Rowan and Glassboro State alums. So we always love a legacy family.
But
connection.
then there was a twist, and you'll have to listen to it in today's show.
Yeah, you'll have to find out more. Listen up. So, Stephen, where are you coming to us today from?
Naples, Florida.
Okay, tell us a little bit about Naples. Where is it? Because I am terrible with geography and don't know where that falls in the state.
I had no idea where Naples was on the map before my wife and I moved down here. It's really far south in Southwest Florida. So if you can envision Florida, it's really like the bottom left area, right north of Marco Island. Key West is about 4.5 hours from here if you want to drive.
That's not bad. My sister was just in Key West last week, and I've been in Key West. You ever been in Key West?
No.
No?
No.
You would like it in
Really?
Key West. Yeah,
There are no rules in Key West.
There's,
Whoa, maybe we should go there.
It's a very chill area, like a good amount of day drinking, live music.
Well, now, see, you're going to give people the wrong impression of myself all of a sudden.
No, it's just like a very relaxed
I enjoy
vibe.
a cocktail once in a while.
Well, that's
but-
what I'm saying.
Okay.
A
No,
day
last
cocktail.
year I did go. So this time last year after Easter, I did go to St. Petersburg, Tampa area.
Okay.
That's phenomenal.
So that's about 2.5 hours north.
And
Look at
there's-
him. He knows the whole state. He knows
Oh,
where he is
well,
in
he's down
relation
there
to
now.
all
I
the
guess
hot
it's just-
spots.
He left New Jersey and said, "Let me get out of this slum."
Today, 3 years ago, I left New Jersey.
Oh, okay. So let's dig into that then. If we're going to go there, Stephen, right away.
Yeah.
What was the impetus for the move from Jersey down south?
What a loaded question. So I was a public school teacher in Vineland for 11 years. And by the time I got to my last couple years of teaching, I thought to myself, I cannot see myself in a classroom traditionally for another 30 years. There's no way. And so my degrees from Rowan were in elementary education and in theater. So I was looking for administrative jobs in New York, in Philly, in Jersey, Delaware, and in Florida. So what I was looking for was a director of education role. And Florida is where I ended up in Naples. So I'm the director of education at Gulf Shore Playhouse, which is the only full-time professional theater in Southwest Florida.
Oh, so you really landed like the perfect mixture of education and theater. So that was probably exactly what you were looking for.
Yeah, this position combines both of my loves of education and theater for sure. And we're building a brand new state-of-the-art Broadway-sized theater here in Naples. So we're about halfway under construction. So we're slated this time next year to be able to walk in and get to learn the building.
That's so cool. All right, let's rewind. So you're in Florida now, but where did you grow up? How did you make your way to Rowan?
Yep. So I grew up in Vineland, was born there, lived there, graduated from Vineland High School in 2004. And my mother her two sisters, my sister, all went to Rowan. It's definitely a family tradition to graduate from Rowan University. And I graduated in 2008. So when I was looking at colleges, I knew I was going to be a teacher. It was sort of a no-brainer to choose Rowan. It was only about a half hour away, but I could still experience that on-campus life. And honestly maybe this is biased, but I think the best school of education in the state of New Jersey. And I still, to this day, believe that. The quality of education that I got at Rowan, I think about all the time when I'm teaching my students, when I'm directing. It was definitely the right choice for me. So that's how I ended up at Rowan.
And did you commute here, or since you were local, or did you get the on-campus experience?
My parents gave me the ultimatum. They said, if you stay at home, we'll buy you a new car. And I chose and would much rather have lived on campus. So I chose to not have a brand new car. And
wow, that's a challenge for a young buck.
Yeah. But also that you can't buy that independence.
That is true.
That you could get in 4 years living on your own.
So where'd you live?
Freshman year, I lived in Magnolia.
Then whereabouts? So freshman year, I was Chestnut.
Okay.
Where were you?
I was commuting.
Oh, really? Did you commute all your years?
All 4 years.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I just lived here. People thought I lived on campus. But, I found my way around.
What about sophomore year? Did you ever head to the good old Mansion Park apartments?
No, I lived on campus all 4 years.
Okay.
My sophomore year, I lived in Oak. Junior year, I did live in Mansion.
Okay.
I did. Yes, I did, because it doesn't exist anymore.
No, now it's Holly Point.
Right, yeah. That was great. I loved that apartment. And then I did live in the townhouses my senior year.
I think we took a similar, so that's funny. I wonder if we lived by each other all years, because I was in Chestnut, Mansion, sophomore, and then junior year, I was in Oak, and then senior year, I was in townhouses. That's so weird. We were probably right by each other. But you were also super involved. What kinds of things were you involved on campus?
I mean, I played intramural volleyball, but the big thing that I did was I was part of PROS, so the peer referral and orientation staff. If I hadn't joined PROS or just interviewed for it and was accepted, my whole college experience would have been so different. Majority of the core memories that I have from Rowan are because of PROS.
Can you tell for folks who aren't listening? Can you tell what folks for folks who might not know what PROS are? Can you just describe what they do?
Yeah, so I know it's been modified over the years for the good because of how large Rowan is growing. But at the time, it really was sort of like the liaisons for the incoming freshmen, right? So we would essentially run orientation for incoming freshmen. And then during the year, we would meet with our orientation groups and just help them acclimate to the campus. And then, of course, we would have our own meetings and events and trainings throughout the year to prepare for the summer.
Now, I forget, are there perks with that? Becoming a pro? Like, do you get like early registration and stuff like that?
I do remember that. That was definitely an incentive.
I think that's why Chris is probably a pro. Wasn't he a pro?
He was a pro. Mm-hmm. You know Chris D'Angelo, yeah.
Yeah. We still keep in touch.
So actually, the thing I most remember about the PROS is how often they sang Baby Shark.
So I taught public school. I taught elementary, middle, and high school in the span of 11 years. And when that song became mainstream, I'm like, wait a minute. Like, is this the same song that we
Yeah. Do you know Baby Shark?
I do know Baby Shark. I was going to ask somebody to sort of like fill in the listeners on the Baby Shark song.
Oh, I mean, I'm not going to sing it.
Okay.
Well, I think it's a popular children's song.
Maybe in post-production we can add it here.
Yeah, but the PROS used to sing it. Well, listen, much respect for the PROS because they would get on stage in front of really like peers and just sing and dance and be vulnerable and like bless them for doing that, because I was looking at the PROS like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're doing this. I so just want to go in my dorm and shut the door.
Can I ask how that fits into the prof landscape? Like, how does a shark and a prof get along? Like, where is the overlap, I guess? There wasn't, right?
There is none.
Okay, all right. I don't know. I was missing something here with like a secret society.
But the PROS were kind of like performers.
Icebreaker and get the incoming freshmen to just participate in something really stupid and wild and crazy, and That was it. But Baby Shark was it.
So when you came into Rowan, did you come in and declared education major, then you minored in theater, or did you always have the theater bug in you?
No, actually. I came in, oddly enough, with, I think I wanted to go into business. And then that changed really fast. And then I went into, or I declared history secondary ed. And then I realized I like history too much to actually study it this hard for 4 years. So I went to my advisor and I was given all of the options for elementary ed. And I saw that there was a dual major for elementary education and for theater child drama, because education majors have to have 2 degrees, right? So you have to be highly qualified in a subject area. They don't, Rowan, I don't think offers this degree anymore. So there are only a few of us that have this bachelor's in theater child drama with elementary education. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is a no-brainer. You know what? I love teaching elementary kids. And of course, theater is my passion. So that was the route I took.
I got to ask, so you have this thought to be in education. Obviously, you have a legacy family, so I'm assuming that mom was in education as well?
She was a special ed teacher for 28 years in Vineland.
So then you just go and break her little heart and say, I'm out of this space? Or what happened here? Like, I want to bounce, Mom. I don't want to be in the classroom anymore. Like, how'd that go down?
That was not an easy conversation to have. I will say, so I taught 4th grade for 6 years in Vineland. Also, all of the teachers in my family also teach in Vineland. So not only is it a legacy family at Rowan, but also in the Vineland Public Schools District. So I taught elementary, I taught 4th grade for 6 years. I taught middle school math and STEM for 3 years. Because along the way, I got more certifications so that I could teach secondary ed. And then I taught high school theater for 2 years at Vineland High School. And that last year was the COVID year. So, but I had already decided early on in 2019 that I was going to look for this exact position I was going to look for. And I didn't know where it was going to be. So when I ended up coming down to Naples, it was the first time I had ever been here. I came with my wife as my second interview. And I don't know if you know anything about Naples, but it is a very affluent area. I mean, there are many, not just millionaires that live here, there are billionaires that live here. I think the statistic is it has the second largest amount of millionaires per capita in the country.
Wow.
So it's like these second and third homes of these wealthy people. So, we're walking around like, where the hell do the normal people live? I see where this theater is, I have education in my title, so I know I'm not going to be living in these houses. But when I interviewed and I met the staff, it just felt right. And so the next day I was offered the job. And I said, give me a week to figure this out. This was January of 2020. COVID was a distant thing. We knew about it. Technically, we didn't think it was here yet. So I remember calling my parents, because I talked to my sister first, as we do, before I talked to my mom. So then I talked to my mom. And there were a lot of tears. But at that point, she understood that I needed to move on, that, I did my time in Vineland. I started my own theater company in Vineland with a friend of mine who also went to Rowan University. And, I felt like there was nowhere for me to grow. And God, I loved those kids that I worked with in Vineland, and the parents were phenomenal. But I just needed to branch out. I needed something more. And my wife was an advocate for me. And, we took a risk to come down here at the beginning of a pandemic, but truthfully, I'm blessed that I ended up in Naples, because where theaters were closing all over the country, say what you want about Florida, but you
were open.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Stayed open. I mean, we were masked, but we stayed open. And, I was able to keep my job. They laid off 90% of the company. I was the 9th person back. And now we're at a staff of 50 and we're hiring more.
Wow, that's incredible. Tell us about your love of theater. When did it start? How did it start?
My parents always took me to the theater. We would never go to New York, though. I mean, my dad's from Brooklyn, but anytime we went to New York, we'd go to Brooklyn or Long Island, where his family is. So we would always go see theater in Atlantic City or Philadelphia. So I always loved it. I loved singing.
Well, obviously from Baby Shark and such. I mean, the Baby Shark thing took off well.
He
with
was
you.
like,
It all
this is
started with
great.
Baby Shark.
Yeah, Baby Shark.
I started singing when I was 13, like actually going to a vocal coach and learning proper technique. And then it wasn't until high school where I started performing on stage. And then in college, I didn't perform at Rowan. Rowan didn't really have a strong musical theater program. So I actually would travel back to Vineland to what is now Rowan College, but what was then Cumberland County College. And I would perform in the musicals at the college. So I would drive home multiple times a week to go to rehearsals. And that's where I learned a lot. I learned a lot about how to be a professional actor, because the director of the program at Rowan College in Vineland is a Broadway veteran. And so I learned a lot from her. And then my junior year at Rowan, I auditioned in New York for a reality show on NBC called Grease, You're the One That I Want.
I remember that.
And
That's how I
it
must
was-
remember you. We were like, we know that guy.
Really? You saw the show?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were just saying that.
No. I
it
mean,
was the
we knew
time
he was
the
in
new-
our class and that he was from here and he was going to be on this big show. Of course, you follow along.
I mean,
and
we're just
see.
peeling this onion. I don't know Stephen from Adam.
I
so.
know. I just know him from NBC.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, think about it, right? Like at that time in 2000, it was in late 2006 and the show premiered on NBC in 2007. Like YouTube had just come out. Like we had just gotten Facebook. So like social media was not really a big thing. So to know people watched it, it's really authentic because like they probably saw an ad on TV or, heard it from somebody else. Because I don't even remember posting I think I was still putting up like away messages on AOL at that point.
Oh my God.
You know?
My MySpace is
BRB.
just MySpace.
Yeah, MySpace was still a thing. So the reality show was to find the Danny and Sandy of the most recent Broadway revival. So I ended up auditioning in New York for 3 days and then flying out to LA, and I ended up in the top 12 guys. I ended up being the youngest one left with no professional experience at all. And so that experience proved that maybe I can do this. It's more than just a hobby. Maybe I can actually do this professionally.
You have the
And so I
perfect
did.
Danny Zuko hair.
Still got it.
Yeah, still got it. All these years later, you still got all his Danny Zuko hair. That's good. That's good stuff. What would be a dream role for you to play?
You know what it is? I used to be able to answer this question really easily, but now I'm getting older. And so I'm aging out of all those roles that I wish I could play.
Well, you could be Hamilton.
No, I don't think I'm skilled enough to
Can you
Okay.
rap?
be in Hamilton.
Yeah, you got to be able to rap.
In Hamilton, they rap?
Yes, you need to watch it and then
You
listen
need
to
to
it
read it,
and
man.
then see it.
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know.
Wait, listen, going back to history
Yeah.
and loving it so much that you couldn't study it, if Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote a musical for every important part of history, I would be a genius because I know so much about that point in history just from that musical.
So you're saying if we? Oh, I mean, she just laid this one up for you there, Stephen. You got to. Can you write? Can you write something up? I mean, imagine if you would put a series together of historical plays that you could put together.
That's true. There's so many awesome stories.
Well, I'm not sure I can even share this, but they're doing. I'll share it anyway.
Okay.
Maybe the dean will get upset with me, but a little birdie told me that this coming year, because Rowan University is getting ready to celebrate the big hundo,
Yeah.
as we say in the office. Or maybe I just say
I
it.
don't say that.
Okay.
Just
I
you.
just say that. As the school begins to celebrate 100th anniversary, I think they're doing Rent as the musical next
Oh,
year.
I love Rent.
I think I can say that. I think the dean would appreciate ticket sales.
Have
for
you
that.
ever seen Rent?
I've never seen. The only play I've ever seen actually at the Forest Theater was Les Mis back in the day, which I loved. Jean Valjean, Javert. I got it
You know
all.
what? I've played Marius before, but I think I'm at that point where I could probably play Jean Valjean.
What were you in high school? What were some of the productions you were in high school? Were those like your glory theater days?
Ooh, I mean, core memories for sure. My first musical ever was in high school. It was my sophomore year of high school. I was a tap dancing cowboy in Crazy for You. My name was Wyatt the Cowboy. My junior year, Pop. I played an old man in The Pajama Game. And then my senior year, I finally figured it out. I finally figured out how to sing properly for the stage, and that ended up being Grease. So that was my first time playing Danny Zuko.
All right,
So
see,
he had
look
some
at this.
experience
All right,
playing
now
Danny
we know
Zuko.
where it's coming
So
from.
to say you didn't have any professional experience playing Danny Zuko is a little bit of a lie.
I know, yeah.
Because-
You're playing rope-a-dope over here. So we have to ask, because you've mentioned your wife, but is she also in the acting world or no?
No.
that was a very like no, she's not.
no.
Okay, so what if she got herself up to in Naples, if you don't mind us asking? What's her name? We should call her by name.
Her name is Marina.
Marina.
Yes, and we got married in 2018. Big fat Greek wedding in Philadelphia.
Nice.
Awesome.
Did you bring the Windex?
No Windex. There's no Windex.
You've never seen that movie
So
either. Rob, you're the worst.
I don't, when it comes to
They're coming out with a third one.
are they really?
Yeah.
Wasn't Cher in the first one?
Cher?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No, you're thinking of Mamma Mia, and that was the second one.
Okay, there we go. I knew it was on somewhere around there. I don't know. Sorry.
Rob.
No, but so there was Windex at your wedding? Go ahead.
Oh, no Windex. Okay, back to Marina. Back to the wedding to Marina in 2018.
Yeah.
The big fat Greek wedding.
Big fat Greek wedding. So actually, Marina is she's I would say an events manager. So she plans events nationally and internationally. So she's incredibly talented. She kicks ass behind the scenes.
Yeah, no, I get that. But you have a very unique proposal story I read up on the interwebs. I did my research.
What are you on some like dark website that you're reading about, Steven?
No, but I did my research. Tell us the story. It's a good one.
It's okay. It's pretty public. The Daily Journal in Vineland posted it. So
You did your research.
Of course, the Daily Journal.
Yeah, they're like he's like a local celebrity. Of course, they followed his engagement.
I was also published about in the Buna Times, I think, one time.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Big deal.
I was directing the middle school drama club in Vineland, and I was taking 40 middle school kids down to Disney World to perform on stage in what was downtown Disney, now is Disney Springs, like a 20-minute rendition of Beauty and the Beast, because that was the show that we were performing that year. And Marina and I actually worked in Disney World together for a summer. That's not how we met, but we both. She worked in the Disney College program after she graduated college. I was a teacher, so I wasn't working in the summer. And so Disney was always, and also Disney World was like our first vacation together when we first started dating. So we always had sort of like a connection to Disney. I wouldn't say that we're like Disney people, but we enjoy going mostly for the food and the drink. But when I was down there, when planning with the kids, decided, while we're down here and I have 40 kids with me, why don't I plan a proposal as well? So she came with me, and I had her parents fly down. My parents were already there, and then I actually had a lot of her friends fly down. So I proposed to her on the beach at the Polynesian. She had no idea what was happening. She was with a friend. I gave her friend a letter with a map to tell her where to go. And then I was there with a photographer hiding in the bushes. And so, I'm dressed up with a blazer, and she's wearing like a Mickey Mouse sweater, and proposed, and then ended up going downtown to Disney Springs, where all the kids were and their chaperones, and all of our families were there. And that was sort of like a second surprise for her.
Are you tearing up over here?
I just love Disney and children and love. So many good things to.
One could say
away
it was
from that.
magical.
Yeah, there you go.
So tell us about the Gulf Shore Playhouse. Like tell us more about like who shows up, everything that's involved.
So right now the company is about 19 years old. So the founder and the CEO is also the producing artistic director. So I report to her. Her name's Kristen Corey, and in the 3 years that I've worked here, I've learned so much from her. Just in the fact that she can produce, our main stage season, of course, with all of our staff, but she's really leading the charge here. And then also build a building and having to go to City Hall and, fight the good fight against people who don't want change down here. One thing you should know about Naples, and this is a fun fact. About 30 years ago, the average home buyer in Naples was 74 years old.
Wow.
Average.
Well, you said a
And
lot of
now
rich people live there, so they had saved their whole lives to move there.
a lot of rich people. They used to call it Heaven's Gate because people would just retire here and then die here.
Oh gosh.
Sounds glorious.
Right. But now through the pandemic, so many people, like I think 1,000 people were moving to Florida a day. And now the average home buyer is in the low 50s. So like 53, 54 years old. So a lot of families have been moving here. So our demographics certainly are changing. And I've seen that since I moved here in 2020. So the Playhouse typically has a demographic of older people who come to see our shows, mostly plays, a couple musicals. But once we open up our brand new theater, so it's still Gulfshore Playhouse, but it's the Baker Theater and Education Center. And I'll tell you, there aren't a lot of professional theaters in the country that have Education Center in their title. So it's exciting for me because I'm going to but I'll be in charge of a whole wing in the theater that's dedicated just for education. So there's going to be classrooms, there's going to be rehearsal spaces, our own separate entrance and elevator to get up to our education wing. So it's going to allow me to sort of flex my muscles in the sense that I can offer more classes throughout the day and not necessarily just the extracurricular activities and productions that we rehearse for after school, right? I can have seniors come in and take, an adult tap dance class, or we can have a yoga class that's like centered on theater arts. It's just I can sort of be a little bit more creative with more space. But it's a $66+ million expansion. I should say build. It's not even an expansion, it's a build. And it's right at the gateway to downtown. So right now they're building an AC Marriott right next to where the theater is being built.
And who's building out the sets and such for the different shows?
So we have a production team. So when I say professional theater, think of the Walnut Street Theater in Philly,
Sure.
Or Paper Mill Playhouse up in North Jersey. That's sort of where we are, right? We're going to be a big organization. I mean, we sort of we're about mid-level. But once we're in this new space, we have a whole separate building just for production. In fact, we partnered with a local company here in Naples, where we're sort of investing at the same time in building our own brand new production shop that's triple the size of what it is right now, because we're going to have 2 performance stages in our new theater. So we're going to have the main stage that seats about 350 people. It'll have a mezzanine and box seats on the second level. And then we have a studio theater that seats about 150 people. And that stage can be reconfigured in any way you want.
So what do you think it is? So I don't know forever post-COVID, right? Because COVID's always going to be a thing. But post like the throes of COVID, I had gone to see Hamilton with my sister in New York. And I think it will always be a core memory for me because they were still checking COVID cards. And I was so excited because during COVID, all I did was really watch and listen to Hamilton. And I just remember the ticket person coming through the line and being like, "Welcome back to Broadway, folks. Welcome back." And it was so exciting. What do you think it is about theater that's so special to people? And is it that way for you as well?
I love that question because I think about that often. And especially over the last few years, right? Like we were not able to gather and experience things together. And I feel like those are the best memories we have are when we're finally able to get together and have shared experiences. And it's one thing to go into a movie theater and watch something, on a 2D screen, sometimes 3D if it's, Avatar. But it's another thing where you get to walk into a theater with other people and that feeling of getting ready to be told a story by real people live on stage and experiencing those emotions collectively. There's a study out there, and Kristen, our CEO, she always says this statistic, and it's kind of interesting that there's a study out there that says, when people are in a theater and they're experiencing something together, whether it's something tragic or dramatic or comedic, that the beating of their hearts actually start to sync. And I think we don't think about that in real time. But if you do think about that actually happening, like think about when you were in that theater in New York post-COVID, where people weren't allowed to do that. They weren't allowed to be told this story live. They had to watch it on Disney Plus, right? And it's just not the same. So it's another level of entertainment that doesn't exist anywhere except on stage. And I'll give you another example. So we have a partnership here. As the director of education, I partnered with many nonprofit organizations in town, one of them being the Naples Holocaust Museum. And with the Holocaust Museum, they provided testimonials of Holocaust survivors to us. And what we did is we took one of those survivors' stories and we produced a 45-minute play based on the survival story. And so we actually have 4 non-equity actors touring schools and churches and synagogues all around our region. And it never fails when we go into a school and we talk to the teachers after seeing this production, they tell me, this is so different than watching Anne Frank on TV or watching these interviews of these survivors on YouTube, right? Like, this is something that we're feeling in the moment, and we understand the cruelness of what this man experienced. So I know that was a long-winded answer in response to your question, but theater brings people together for a shared experience. I always think back to 2020 and 2021, and a world without art sounds really miserable and dark, and I don't know where we would be without theater.
Okay, fondest Rowan memory.
It's kind of late in the game, but I loved graduation.
We graduated in the. Okay, sorry, Rowan.
No, you can't get aggressive with the guest.
Well, it rained.
So I think at that point it only rained maybe 2 or 3 times at a graduation, and my sister, who graduated in 2003, it rained on her graduation. So I never got to experience an outdoor Rowan graduation. But I loved graduation. I loved it was in the gym with all of my elementary ed and the physical education majors. I sang the national anthem. And I didn't tell my parents that I was going to do that. So I just walk on stage and they're looking at me like, what are you doing? I just start singing.
That's so cool.
Did the university book you, or you just decided to do that on your own?
Good question. I went to the dean, and she was also from Vineland. I just asked her. I said, "Hey, I would love to sing the national anthem," and she said, "Okay."
Wow.
But I did.
Wait, a cappella? No backing?
Nothing.
Look at this guy.
What's your voice part?
A tenor.
Pegged you for a tenor. You don't know any of these things.
No, I'm in music.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Just kidding. Rob played. A little known fact I didn't know about Rob until we knew each other like 10 years is that he's a mummer.
Yeah, I don't tell everybody that.
Oh,
Now everybody knows. So, Stephen, when you're in Naples, like you said, a lot of the population is a little bit older. So do you get to educate any kids, or is it mostly, or is there people bringing their grandkids? Or I know you talked about some classes that you were hoping to get back on.
The population is definitely older than, I would say, South Jersey, where it's very residential and agricultural. But there's a huge school district here. I mean, Collier County, that's the county that Naples is located in, is actually a little larger than the size of Rhode Island. So it's a really big county with a very large school district. There are 50,000 kids in the schools. So there's like almost 40 schools, elementary, middle, and high school. So it's a big district. And so a lot of those kids will come to the theater to learn and to perform. So there's no shortage of kids by any means, and more just keep moving down, because it is a really nice area to live in. There are also areas that are socioeconomically disadvantaged. There's a huge migrant community, and so having come from Vineland and having been brought up, raised, and then taught in Vineland, it kind of feels very familiar to me. So when I do have students that register for my classes that more or less can't afford the tuition, we have scholarship. I make sure that there are scholarship programs in place so that we can just make our programs accessible for everybody.
Well, that's awesome. It sounds like you've combined your degrees and your passions, and not a lot of people get to do that in life. That's a pretty cool thing.
No, it's cool how it all worked out.
We thank you so much for being on today, and we hope that you enjoy that Florida weather.
Thank you so much. This was great.
So Stephen not only taught in Vineland Public Schools for 11 years, but he's just really impressive, because You know what we didn't ask him about?
What's
Oh,
that?
man, I'm so mad. The 2022 Tony Award Honorable Mention for Excellence in Theater Education. We were just post-interview talking about the Tonys.
I
How
know.
did he not say, hey, I was nominated for a Tony?
I guess he's a humble guy. I don't want to say
I know,
anything about it.
Steven, we're going to have to reconnect about that.
Can we
But
bring him back in here? No, no, Steven was great.
he was so good. I love an artistic folk. I feel like they're like my people.
You did come at him a little bit aggressive in the one part of the show.
What?
Yeah.
About what?
Oh, no, it was about the graduation. Remember, he said graduation
Oh, well, he said that was
his...
his favorite memory.
I know, but you really came at him.
Well, just because anybody that graduated in 2008 knows that it rained, and I feel like that was a period. It was different. It was way different than when it rains now, and it was like in the rec center. So it was just not. I mean, I also have the perspective of when I got my master's. I graduated on bunts, so on
it's
screen,
different.
and it was beautiful. So it's definitely a different experience, and we can't control the weather, folks.
No.
Sometimes it rains on graduation day, but I just think it's great that that's his favorite memory because I was so sad that it rained.
Look, he's living in Naples now. He couldn't care less about what's going on in
Watching
Glassboro,
fireworks at
weather-wise.
night and being on the beach all day.
But he still loves Rowan, so that's very cool. We talked post that he's willing to come back and kind of chat up the education folks and the college performing arts. So it's great to be able to connect alums like that back to campus.
We'll be bringing back more fantastic alumni on Beyond the Brown and Gold. Just you wait and see.
You've been listening to Beyond the Brown and Gold on Rowan Radio 89.7 WGLS FM. You can find more episodes on your favorite podcasting platforms by searching for Beyond the Brown and Gold or Rowan Radio On Demand.